Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter, or of course you can subscribe to this channel. Before we get started and really delve into the nitty gritty of the various topics we want to talk about, last night G-Man Boxing graciously invited me onto his channel for a boxing discussion. I mean, I say discussion, it was almost more like an interview. He was asking me my views on a whole bunch of stuff, so I was doing most of the talking. And next, or the week after next, and a couple of weeks from now, it will be G-Man appearing on my channel. So it will be flipped on its head, and I'll be the one asking him questions, and he'll be the one doing most of the talking. So check that out if you're interested. I will put the link in the description box of this video here. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to his channel, make sure you do, otherwise you're missing out. So it's a fantastic channel and he's a great lad. So thank you to G-Man once again for having me on. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty about some of the boxing topics that are quite relevant at the moment. So I want to start off talking about Deontay Wilder and a statement he has made. He has come out and said, wow, what a hell of a fight. I would like first and foremost to thank God for allowing me to give the world another part of me that's driven with passion and determination. I would like to thank my team and my fans for sticking by my side through this long process. I would be lying if I said that I wasn't disappointed in the outcome, but after reflecting on my journey, I now see what God wanted me to experience is far greater than what I expected to happen. We didn't get the win, but a wise man once said victories are within the lessons. I've learned that sometimes you have to lose to win. Although I wanted to win, I enjoy seeing the fans win even more. Hopefully, I prove that I am a true warrior and a true king in this sport. Hopefully we proved that no matter how hard you get hit with trials and tribulations, you can always pick yourself back up to live and fight again and for what you believe in. Last but not least, I would like to congratulate the Gypsy King for his victory and thank you for the great and historical memories that will last forever. A classy statement released on the Instagram of the bronze bomber Deontay Wilder. This came after his manager Shelly Finkel came out and basically said that I've spoken to Deontay and he does respect Tyson Fury. I think his mind wasn't really there in the midst of the fight. Basically, he's referring to the refusal to congratulate or shake the hands of Tyson Fury. Finkel goes on to say, I think that if Deontay saw Fury now, he would give him a big embrace. This is what I've been saying from the beginning. A lot of people were saying I refuse to give Deontay credit because he's a sore loser. But listen, you have to understand that sore losers can sometimes make great winners. This is a point that Teddy Atlas made. He said, I'm not here to make excuses, but I will say that there's something to be said about being a sore loser. And I'm walking a fine line here, but I know what I'm walking. How many of you Anthony Joshua fans would rather see Joshua just a little less of a good loser? Just a little less of a good loser from when he lost to Ruiz and when he recently lost to Usyk. A little less accepting. So gracious of losing he was. I'm not saying don't be a gentleman. I'm not saying that. But there is something to be said about being too gracious, giving up too easily, too casually, as though it's not important. And there's something to be said about that. Now, I too, by the way, am not excusing, and I never did excuse, the actions of Deontay Wilder. He should, of course, done the sportsman thing of shaking the hand of Tyson Fury. But like I've said consistently, when you are in war mode mentally, it's very difficult to just switch that off just because you happen to be knocked out. This isn't tennis. This isn't football. You have to get your mind into a certain place. You are going to war. Your life is on the line. The moment you lose that war, it doesn't just evaporate those emotions. So I was saying to a number of people that were saying this to me, listen, give him a couple of days. It was in the heat of the moment. And now they're talking about this respect. They're talking about Team Wilder. This is how Wilder would embrace Fury if he saw him. You have to give the guy credit. You have to give him respect. This was a fight for the ages. And it's, a wonderful thing to see that Deontay Wilder is able to reconcile this magnificent performance he put in with an element of respect for his opponent because they have shared something. They have shared a chapter that none of us know what it is. Even if you've been in a fight before, maybe you're a pro fighter watching this, maybe you've been in a barn burner, you might understand. But for that specific fight of those two, that's a moment only those two share. They walk down to the ring, they've got their fans screaming, they've got their entourage with them. They hug and kiss their people goodbye. Everyone exits the ring except you and your opponent and the referee. and you fight in the hope of walking out of there safely, and you fight until your opponent is unconscious. That is the aim. So it's not easy to just switch those emotions off. And when you do go through something like that, you've shared something quite traumatic, but also very deep, if you think about it. You are pushing another human being in every regard, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, and he's doing the same to you. So I'm glad that they're able to seemingly put this behind them, and, you know, hopefully now boxing fans can give the credit to both these guys that they deserve. Both guys. If you're a Fury fan, that means to Wilder, and if you're a Wilder fan, that means to Fury, because what they did was something very, very special. What I also want to talk about is the future now of Deontay Wilder. What is your position on the future of this man? You know, something that I mentioned yesterday on G-Man's channel is that if you consider the sort of injuries we're talking about here, this is akin to a serious car accident. If you really think about it, I mean, we're talking about hematomas, concussion, a broken hand, whiplash type injuries. There's going to be psychological trauma behind this. It's going to take the human body a long time to recover, and he may never recover fully. Not fully. I mean, God forbid, obviously you want him to be back to his best, but you know those computer games like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat where you've got these energy bars, right? And when your energy bar runs out, your fighter is knocked out. Well, on the computer game, your fighter gets knocked out, and then in the next round you enter another player, and that player comes back and he's got a full bar of energy again. In real life, that energy bar might not be full again. It won't be on complete empty, hopefully, obviously, but it's not going to go all the way up to the top, potentially. What Deontay Wilder has put his body through over the last 2 fights may very well take its toll for good. And you look at somebody like Joe Calzaghe and Jeff Lacey. You know, a lot of people have said, oh, Jeff Lacey was exposed by Joe. He was never that good. I don't believe that to be the case. I believe that that was such a shellacking, such a beating, that certain physical strength, certain physical capabilities evaporated from the body of Jeff Lacey, and he was never the same again. Psychologically too. And I really hope we don't see that with Deontay Wilder, because all this business about who's he fought, as though this guy's not the real deal, as though what he did against Ortiz and Stiverne and now against Tyson Fury doesn't show the level of this man. If he comes back and fights another top level fighter and gets knocked out, people are going to say, oh, look, he was exposed all along, just like they do about Jeff Lacey. He was never that good, rather than saying he was a brilliant fighter and he just left something in the ring that night. So where does Wilder go from here? You know, personally, I wouldn't mind if he did walk away from the sport, based on the fact that he's already achieved so much. He's made an awful lot of money. He's established a fantastic legacy, and people will respect this legacy in years to come. But I can understand that he wants to fight, and Malik Scott has announced on an Instagram story that Deontay Wilder is aching to get back in the ring. He has been suspended for 6 months. This is for his own protection. This is to enable his body to recover. I expect him to take a lot longer than 6 months out the ring, or he certainly should be out for longer than that, to recuperate fully, then get back into the gym and see how he feels. I expect him to come in against somebody who's durable, so he can still work on some things, but isn't a significant threat in terms of taking him out. I think Marius Vac would be a perfect opponent, first opponent back for Deontay Wilder, because he does have a chin of iron. Nobody blows out Marius Vac. But offensively, he's not a special talent, is he? Let's be honest. So it's a good way, a good segue into coming back into your career. Having said all that, who does he then go for from there? You know, if you were Deontay Wilder, what do? Do you come back because you don't want to end it on a defeat, even though this was a fight for the ages? Do you come back because you still harbour hopes of getting back into the upper echelons of the sport? He's always going to have that weapon. He's always going to be 1 second away from taking somebody out. And he may very well feel, listen, not everybody out there is Tyson Fury. They're not quite as elusive. They don't quite have his recovery powers. I can still be a major player in the game here. And if I can improve enough, even if it means meeting Fury again down the line, maybe I can do something. You may not feel that as a fan, but as a fighter, there's no doubt about it that they have an incredible amount of self-belief. You don't get to the position Deontay Wilder's been in without having that incredible amount of self-belief. So that's something there for you to think about. Now, with regards to the fight, one more quick comment that I'll make on it, and then we'll move on to other issues. Ben Davison has come out and reiterated in an interview with IFL TV everything that I was saying. Shout out to D Sid for pointing this out to me, this interview, by the way, on Twitter. He was basically talking about how he felt that Tyson Fury put in a great display in terms of heart, but he was walking into range with his hands up without fainting his way in. In other words, he was talking about what I was talking about. The entry point wasn't being disguised. Everything literally that I spoke about, Ben Davison then spoke about too. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because one or two of you, not many, but one or two of you took exception to that. And you were saying to me, well, you're bigging up Deontay Wilder's heart, but you're then knocking Tyson Fury, who won the fight. No, I wasn't. I was bigging up Tyson Fury too. I was just saying that from a tactical perspective, he didn't get it right. And as you can see, you have a world-class trainer who has an amazing performance analyst with him in Lee Wiley, and it seems like they agree with me. So don't assume that whenever somebody brings these sorts of things up, they're somehow hating. I made that point clear in the initial video, and I just wanted to reiterate it now. Now, moving on from Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, let's talk about something else that's occurring in the sport of boxing. I found a little bit, well, comical, to be honest with you. Canelo Alvarez has come out and made a statement that he actually likes this relationship with Al Haymon. Not specifically just with Al, but that he is happy to work with Al. He basically came out and said, I talked with him the other day on the phone. He's happy to work with me, and I'm happy too, because I like this kind of relationship. It makes me happy because I can do the fights the fans want. I'm good with everyone. Having a relationship with everybody, that's the best thing in life. He goes on to say, I think when you negotiate something, you have to do the right thing for you, right? Everybody does. The other side, they do the best for them. So I just try to bring the best for me, money, everything, because I'm at the point where I can do anything. And I'm at the top right now in my personal life and boxing and in my professional life. Now, this reiterates a lot of what people like Hatman have been saying, that there is no room for loyalty in boxing. Remember how Eddie Hearn was cozying up to Canelo Alvarez? He looked like a schoolgirl who has just been asked to the prom by her favorite crush, right? That's what Eddie looked like. Well, Eddie's going to be panicking at this site now because Canelo Alvarez clearly is focused on number one, Canelo, the asset. I'm the commodity. I'm the big money. You guys work for me. This is how Canelo sees it. And it will be interesting to see where he goes from here. Listen, it can only be good for the sport because they need to be able to bypass this concept of I will only fight guys within my own promotional team. Or, you might be in the category of people that think, nah, you know what, Canelo should be having a power broker behind him. I know he's got his own setup behind him. He's going to have a lot of powerful people behind him, no doubt, when they're negotiating and stuff. But it's different when you've got an established promoter having your back. If none of them have got your back, they could all seek to get rid of you because they want to get a bigger piece of the pie for themselves. So that could be your approach. Personally, I don't see that to be the case. I think he's a powerful enough figure in the sport now where he can make his own moves. And yeah, it can't be a bad thing for boxing fans for this to happen. It will mean hopefully that obstacles don't get in the way of great fights being made. Now, let's move on from that and let's talk about Showtime Shawn. And I'm not going to finish the rest of it. You guys know how it goes. Shawn Porter has come out and he's made a statement and he's basically said that Terence Crawford has never been in the ring with anybody that can bring the combination of things that he can bring to the fore in the ring. He says, you see that right there? Power. Being able to get low, get to the body, the head movement, head shots, up and down. I can mix it up. I know that Terence can too, which is what makes this a great fight. But that, along with the confidence, along with the skills, the preparation, everything that I do, that's why I guarantee victory. But every fighter should go into the ring guaranteeing victory. I just know it to be so. So my question is this. It's not whether Shawn Porter will beat Terence Crawford. We will get to that at a later stage. We will talk about that. But in the meantime, it's a question of, do you agree with him that he offers a unique set of skills that Crawford has never had to deal with before? Maybe you feel that Crawford is bound to have dealt with this in sparring and training, and that will be enough to put him in good stead, fighting against bigger guys perhaps that close the range quickly and can make things quite frenetic. You know, Shawn Porter reminds me a little bit of Derek Chisora. He's not really like him stylistically. You know, Shawn has, you know, got the ability to get on the back foot, throw straight punches and box. However, when he's on the front foot, that thing of being able to bypass the obstacle that a fighter is trying to put in front of you to stop you closing the range and to impose your will and bring that physicality behind some fast feet and winging shots both upstairs and downstairs with a lot of physical strength behind it too, making him very hard to deal with. That reminds me much of a lot of Chisora, to be honest with you, and also their results in some regards. You know, I know Shawn Porter's been a world champion and Chisora hasn't, but Shawn Porter will often face the very, very elite and fall just short. You know, the Spence fight, just short. The Thurman fight, just short. Kell Brook, just short. And it seems to be a similar pattern with Chisora when he's often fighting the very, very best. You know, most recently with Parker, and of course they're going to have a rematch with that fight. But that's the point. There's an element of them that is really, really difficult to deal with. And you just feel that sometimes they lose these massive fights on the minor details. So let me know what you think about that, whether this guy is genuinely a unique obstacle for Terence Crawford. Finally, December the 4th, it's been announced. Anthony Yarde will face off with Lyndon Arthur once more, a fight I'm sure you're all excited to see, certainly the British viewers at least. The light heavyweight division is stacked in this country. Here comes the rematch after the contentious first fight. It was due to be fought in Manchester, the home city of Lyndon Arthur, but it's now in London, and I'm not sure what official reasons have been given for this, but Sonny Edwards has tweeted to ask why it isn't in Manchester. He was basically just saying, I thought it was supposed to be in Manchester. Why isn't it there? I'm just asking for a friend. He's, of course, very good friends with Lyndon Arthur. Is this a case of, you know, Lyndon Arthur has maybe more less marketability than Anthony Yarde? Anthony Yarde is, you know, a guy who's been on billboards and the face of various adverts. If I'm not mistaken, it's JD Sports here in the UK that he's the face of. He's the face of BT Sport. Is it possible that they're thinking along the lines of, look, if there's a hometown decision, we're not going to complain. He is the more marketable fighter. Or is this just a conspiracy theory and Sonny Edwards is trying to get an excuse in early for his boy? Let me know how you interpret it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know what you think. Are you excited about this latest fight as well that's been announced for December the 4th? Chat to you soon, everybody. Give me your opinions on everything we've covered here. Take care and God bless.